Greetings to all in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and good to see you all. I know the season is changing, so getting a little bit colder and colder. And when we start getting October, when we start looking at Thanksgiving and the Christmas, all these things will quickly come over, and by the time we realize the year will be over. So, I know we are studying this Solomon series for a few weeks. Why I was spending more time on this? Because it is historically very significant person. He bridges, King David, and who is a man of God's heart, and then, he builds the temple, which is the critical piece God used it, 480 years. After the Israelites left that, came to the promised land, delivered from Egypt, they didn't have a place for worship. Wherever they were moving, the Ark of Covenant, they were moving with that. And so there is a tent of meeting, the Ark of Covenant was there, God's presence was there, so that's how they were worshiping. They didn't have a permanent place, they have always a portable place. This is the Ark of the Covenant. This is what they were moving all along the desert. When the people of Israelites were wandering in the desert, this is where the God had given these dimensions. It was built. So, the priests carried this ark wherever they are going, and then they used to put a tent, and then the ark will be in there, and God's presence will come upon this place. And that's how God used to communicate with Moses. And so this ark was, in Jerusalem, in a place in Jerusalem. I'm going to talk about it. And so David wants to move this and build a temple. That's what he wants to do it. And so the God's presence will be in a permanent place. Last week, Johnny explained all the dimensions of the temple and how the temple was constructed. Why it is, when we think about it, sometimes we think like, most of these dimensions, and you don't do this way, you don't do this way, you don't see more in Christian faith, it's more in other faiths, you see these dimensions and all that. But God was very particular of how these things are built, He was very specific, the dimensions and where, which one, which stone, which curtain, there are many things God is specific on it. So when this ark was, covenant was built, there was very specific area how this things to be there. We'll show a video at the end of my message. It gives you explain about the temple and about the ark. It's a very, very good video. So whatever I preach, end of the message, when you see that video, it connects you well, so it will stick into your mind. So that's what I want to make sure, because right now, what we've seen is last week, Johnny explained that the temple has been built, and he furnished the temple with utensils and the holy, whatever God wants to, be furnished. So he furnished, the temple was been furnished and all that. Now, what we look today is the dedication of the temple. Now the temple has been built, the temple has been furnished, and now Solomon wants to dedicate this temple to the people so they can come and worship in the temple. So this is the first time they have a place of worship, after 480 years of deliverance. So think about it, this is big. This has been waiting, Israel has been waiting for this for years, centuries, to have their own place, because the promised land, they were waiting for the promised land. So when we look at the chapter 8, this is where we focus on, which talks about not just from a theological thing, we're showing about the pomp, ceremony, and the rituals, which mostly other religions do. Whenever they dedicate a temple or something, in other religions, they do lot of celebrations and all that. Here also, the celebrations are all there. But what Allah wants to make sure is He wants to not underscore Israel's theological heritage. The reason is This temple was built by God, with God's permission and with God's direction. See, most of the temples we see anywhere built, people design, however they want, based on the money they have, the temple can be a small near a tree or it can be a bigger one based on the money. But here, this temple has religious significance because the God's hand is involved in everything. Who have to build it, what to build it, what material to use it, and all that. So that is what the author tries to bring it. It is Israel's theological heritage also for us to understand how much is God involved in this. Next we look into the procession to the temple. We have the Ark of Covenant in one place. And so they have the ark is in one place. So they have to move the ark from that place to the temple. So there was a procession that moving to the temple, So that's a big process. So I'm going to look into that. And then once the ark is in the most holy place, then Solomon offers prayers to the Lord. He had 7 petitions to the Lord. So these are very important for us also to see what Solomon prayed to the Lord. It's one of the most powerful prayers that Solomon had done. So it will be good to see what type of petitions Solomon had given to the Lord. So we can also learn from it. And then after the petitions, then he comes to the people and he teaches them. He gives a speech. He bless them, saying that this is what you guys have to do in order to be blessed like this. So he gives them the conditions. He gives them the warnings because that is what Solomon received from the Lord. And so after all this, then they do the sacrifices and all that at the completion of the dedication of the temple. But this chapter acts as a completion of the promises God made to Abraham, Moses, and David, as well as the warning and how the nation will integrate. So God promised Abraham that your generation will be blessed. And the promises, he came to Moses, and then he delivered them into the promised land. What are the things you need to do and all that. Then to King David. So all these fulfillment, what they were going to do, and this will be a complete when they build the temple and dedicate the temple. And then going forward, we see that Solomon at the peak, he worships the Lord, he prays to the Lord, he warns people not to do the sins. And then the same person who did that, he fall into the same trap and then lost the favor. So that's what we see down the road. Now we see the peak. This chapter talks about his big spiritual thing and how he was into the Lord, how much he loved the Lord, all that, in this chapter. So this chapter talks about narratives like how the Ark of the Covenant was brought from the tent of meeting. And we look at chapter 8, 1 to 13, and then, the last is the sacrifices offered from 62 to 66. But between these, we see that Solomon's first break fully tells the audience of God's greatness, So once the ark is there, then he talks about God's greatness, He tells them who is God, and he expects the people to know his greatness. Then he prays 7 petitions for himself and the people. That's for verses 22 to 53. These petitions contain a summary of the major elements of the Lord's covenant with Israel. Lord has a covenant with Israel. So he summarizes the covenant into the petitions. The 7 petitions, he said, Lord, you have this covenant. This is what I want you to help us. And then he exhorts the people to receive God's blessing by keeping their covenant with the Lord. We see from verses 54 to 61. So, these were broken down in a way to show that, different pieces, to help us to see how God had worked through this people. So, let's look at bringing the ark to the temple. Let's look at chapter 8, 1 to 13. Chapter 8, 1 to 13. Then King Solomon summoned into his presence at Jerusalem the elders of Israel, all the heads of the tribes, and the chiefs of the Israelite families, to bring up the ark of the Lord's covenant from Zion, the city of David. So it's right now the Ark of Covenant is in Zion, the city of David. All the men of Israel came together to King Solomon at the time of the festival in the month of Ethanim, the 7th month. So this is happening in the 7th month of the Jewish calendar, not our, what calendar we call it, it's a Jewish calendar. When all the elders of Israel had arrived, the priests took up the ark, and they brought up the ark of the Lord and the tent of the meeting and all the sacred furnishings in it. The priests and the Levites carried them up, and King Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel that had gathered about him were before the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and cattle that they could not be recorded or counted. The priest then brought the ark of the Lord's covenant to its place in the inner sanctuary of the temple, the most holy place, and put it beneath the wings of the cherubim. These are the wings of the cherubim, just for an idea. So between that, so you have big cherubim in the inner sanctuary with the wings spreading two walls. It covers like that, and this ark comes to the middle. We'll see the video, it explains that. So these poles were so long that their ends could be seen from the holy place in front of the inner sanctuary, but not from outside the holy place, and they are still there today. There was nothing in the ark except the two stone tablets that Moses had placed it in Horeb. So when you open this, they put two tablets, which is the 10 commandments God has given on the Mount of Horeb, which is basically Mount of Sinai, is also called. So those laws were put into this. That's why it is sacred, because it's a God's laws. So where the Lord had made a covenant with the Israelites after they came out of Egypt. So when the priests withdrew from the holy place, the cloud filled the temple of the Lord, and the priests could not perform their service because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled his temple. Then Solomon said, "The Lord has said that he would dwell in the dark cloud. I have indeed built a magnificent temple for you, a place for you to dwell forever." So the sacred chest, which is the ark, has been kept in Mount Zion, which is also known as City of David. But Solomon decided to move the chest from that place to the temple where everybody are in Jerusalem. Celebrate, he picked the 7th month because 7th month is a festival of shelters. They call it, also called the festival of booths. I'll explain that. So here, when you look at verse 1, every segment of Israelite leadership, the elders, the heads, and the chiefs, helps bring the ark to its resting place. So he gathers the people, he gathers the elders, he gathers the chiefs, he gathers the heads. When you call elders, right, when you talk about the scripture, Israeli elders, these are like respected leaders who advise the king in national matters. So these are some of those highly, people who are wisdom they give wisdom to the king, to help the king. These are kind of called the main heads of clans or families who were the leaders of the people of Israel. The head of the tribes means these are mature old men belonging, it's like, Jacob has 12 sons, they have 12 tribes. So the 12 tribes, they have leaders. So these are the clans who are in charge of the head of the tribe. So there are chiefs of the Israelite families. These people are in the tribes who are responsible for the law. They know the law and they make sure the other people follow the law. So he brought all these important people first. He gathered all of them. And then he brought all of them together to join the procession and to bring the ark from the Zion, the city of David, to the temple. The Zion, the city of David, basically in Old Testament, this is kind of refers to a specific part which is later became a larger part of Jerusalem. When David bought Jerusalem, when conquered Jerusalem, see right now Jerusalem is too big, okay? When the Jerusalem was conquered by David, the Jerusalem was small. So this temple and the palace, what Solomon built, were outside the temple Jerusalem boundaries. This is the city of David, which is kind of a long, narrow, triangular shaped ridge below the mount, Temple Mount. If you go to Israel now, all fighting is on the Temple Mount. Okay? Temple Mount is the most controversial spot right now because Muslims want the Temple Mount, Israel, Jews want the Temple Mount, and all Christians also look towards the Temple Mount. A Temple Mount is the critical piece. This is where people expect the second coming Jesus will come there. So this is where all there's bloodshed will be there if anything happens there. That kind of struggle is there at that village. So here, this Ark of the Covenant is long, narrow, triangular shaped ridge located below the Temple Mount on the southern end of the eastern ridge. Basically what Solomon did is, when he built it, he expanded the Jerusalem boundaries to cover the temple and the palace. So that became all part of the Jerusalem. So here in the 7th month, which is called the Feast of Booths, which Jews call it Sukkot, in Hebrew. But in translations we call it Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Booths. Why it is called Feast of Booths is when the Israelites are in the desert, when they were wandering for 40 years, wherever they go from place to place, they don't have houses, right? So they have to put a tent, and then under the tent they used to live until God tells them to move to a certain place. So booth is basically a tent. So what they were doing, celebrating is, at the end of their 40 years of wandering in the desert, just before they are entering the promised land, Moses brings them all together and tells them to remember these 40 years how God had taken care of them. Without a house, they didn't have any earning or anything. Only God provided, right? They are not working anything to earn money there. So millions of people are wandering in the desert. When God gives food, they are eating. When God gives water, they are drinking. It's all provided by God. So right now, they were at the border of the Jordan River, because once they crossed the river, they were in the promised land. And we all know Moses was not allowed to go to the promised land. So God told him he should not go. So before they entered the promised land, so Moses was brought to the second generation people, and he wants to tell them, remember and celebrate what God's goodness, that he took care of them all these years. So that remembrance is called the Festival of Tabernacle or Festival of Booth, which Jews call it Festival of, they call it a Hebrew name. So, basically here, Solomon Sukkot, that's called the Hebrew name for the Festival of Booth. So, Solomon took this day as the dedication time. Because what Moses did is, once in 70 years, all the Israelites have to come to Jerusalem and read the law of God, rededicate themselves. That means they have to say to God, vows again, Lord, I'm coming to you. I want to, basically, they are recommitting themselves to God. So every 7 years, Moses told them to do it. So this is the 7th year like that all people will come to Jerusalem to recommit themselves to God. So Moses had selected that period to dedicate the temple because all the people will come to Jerusalem. So, when we look at the scripture, the temple was completed on the 8th month, but the temple was dedicated on the 7th month. Basically, there was a 11 months gap between the temple completion and the temple dedication. So what Solomon did is, he made sure after the temple is constructed, he gave the time to prepare, and he was waiting for this day, for this feast to do it, so he can able to dedicate the temple. So when you look at Jewish feast, Jewish way of handling, is they're very particular, they're very they go everything by calendar, by dates. God gives them specific instructions, and they follow the instructions. There are, three feasts mostly. All the males of the Israelites have to go to Jerusalem and attend give sacrifices. So one is this one, which is the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. And the other two are the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is Jesus died on that. Remember, like the Passover, the sacrifice the lamb, that Jesus was killed as a Passover lamb. So that's one of the feasts. All the Jews come, very significant feast, which is like, when we read Passover means, when the death angel was killing all the firstborn of the Israelites, God told the Jews to put the blood on the door of their homes, so the death angel passes over their home, so their Jews will not be killed. That's why it's called Passover. So they remember that God protected them from the death. That's another feast. And then the third one is the 7 weeks after the Passover, which is the Pentecost. That's when the Holy Spirit came. So Jesus died on that day, and on the Pentecost day, the Holy Spirit came. So everything is very specific these days. You always have to remember, when Jesus was leaving the earth, he told the Jerusalem, stay here until my Spirit comes. And they were waiting in Jerusalem. They know how long they have to wait, because they know that on the day of Pentecost, that God will come. So they were waiting. On the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came. Because festivals are critical. God works on these days in specific ways. That's why, Solomon was also waiting to, dedicate his temple on this specific day. When we see that, is different people are involved into this temple. Like Solomon contributes the money and expertise to the project. When we look at 8:3-5, I think you need chapter 8:3-5. When all the elders of Israel had arrived, the priests took up the ark, and they brought up the ark of the Lord and the tent of meeting and all the sacred furnishings in it. The priests and the Levites carried them up. Here, always remember, nobody can touch the ark unless it is a priest. If anybody touches the ark, they die. Okay. This is as powerful as that. And there's one time somebody did it and he died. So only the priests have to touch the ark of the covenant. So that's what we see here. The priests and the Levites carried them up. The priests and the Levites means priests have to come from the tribe of Levi. But not all the Levites are priests. So, but the Levites, from the tribe of Levi, all can help in the church, in the temple activities. But priests are a separate people, like Samuel, Eli, these are some priests, we see that. So priests are people who carry, do the worship, who carry the ark. So there, the priests and the Levites carried them up, and the king Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel that had gathered about him were before the ark, sacrificing. So they took the ark from the place, and they are moving the ark into the temple. So the Solomon and all the people are before, coming with the procession, sacrificing the offerings and all that. And the back, the priests, they were carrying the temple there. So what we see here is, there are different people who have different roles, So these people have to do these roles. And Solomon contributed the money and expertise to the project, because that's what, as a king, he planned everything. That David had given the plan, and Solomon used his alliances, like last week we looked into it, to get all the material and all that. The elders and the clan chiefs pledged religious and community support. They want the support of the people that they can able to mobilize and then draw people to the church, to the temple. Levites accept their responsibility for assisting the priests, and the priests assume the awesome, even dangerous privilege of leading the worship. The priests are very, very powerful here in a sense. If they make a mistake, God punished them. So, a very serious business to be a priest in the temple. Nowadays, we take it lightly The pastoral responsibilities a lot of times, sometimes, but it's very serious that God had put people in a specific role, and God dealt with them in a different way. When they do bad things, or when people do things to the pastors or preachers also, they were dealt in a different way. God was very tough during the Old Testament days. And so everyone involved offer sacrifices, both in recognition of individual and national sin, and praise of the God who forgives, giving them homeland and a place of worship. Here all are praising God for giving them a place, promised land, and they are celebrating it. So now the ark reached the destination. It is placed in the inner sanctuary, and it is called the chamber in the temple. And we saw that in 1 Kings chapter 6 described it. Inside with the ark there, the room becomes the most holy place. What happens is, the minute the ark goes inside the place, that becomes the most holy place. That means the God's presence will come there. And so a place where God will meet the high priest once a year and forgive the Israel sins. So once a year, the high priest will go to that place and offer sacrifices for the people of Israel, and God forgives them the sins. Remember when Jesus died on the cross, that separator, there is a veil separator, is the most holy place to holy place, and that tore apart. That means we don't need a high priest, we don't need a high priest to communicate our request to God. That's what Old Testament priest was doing, because he's taking the petition from the people, take it to God once a year to the most holy place, and then God was forgiving their sins. Now, when Jesus died, he became the ultimate Passover lamb, so that curtain has been torn apart, so there is no need for someone to communicate to us. That's why we don't really need someone to pray for us. We can also pray for ourselves, because God, there's no block between us. We can go directly to God and do it. So that's what, after Jesus died, that's what we see here. So the ark comes to rest under the wings of the cherubim that stretch from wall to wall. These cherubim cover the ark, thus protecting it and approximating God's throne room in heaven. Like we saw that inside this ark, there are only 2 stone tablets, that Moses had placed it in the Horeb. Now this, there was why scripture was mentioning very clear, because there was a misconception that Aaron, who is the high priest, who is the Moses' brother, who led it, Aaron's rod is the one, which was carried along with the Ark of the Covenant and the jar of manna. Remember, when Moses and the people are in the desert, God gave them manna, they stole that manna. They, for some time they carried it. But manna will only is available good for that day. If you eat it the next day, it gets spoiled. But they stored it just for remembering something. I don't know how they put a jar of manna for some time. But then it was not there during the Solomon time. So, the presence of Moses' tablets underscores Israel's ties to the Sinai covenant. God's presence, God's word, and God's covenant with Israel are inextricably linked. So when we see these tablets, when we see this, Ark of the Covenant, what we see here is God's presence, God's word, and God's covenant with Israel. Because Israel is a chosen tribe, chosen people by God. And so they're all connected in the covenant, which is God gave to Moses on the Mount Sinai. So once the priests leave the ark in the most holy place, the cloud fills the temple. See, immediately when the most holy place, when the Ark of the Covenant was in the most holy place, and the cloud means the God's glory, it filled the temple. And this was the cloud of God's glory that led Israel in the wilderness. When they were in the wilderness, this cloud hung them. So here, when the ark came there, the cloud came there, and because the cloud came there, that all the people could not do the worship service. The priests all came out because the presence of God is there. So when we talk about the cloud of glory, right, it indicates the reality of the Lord's presence. It shows that God is there, He is among the people, He is listening. So that's what when we talk about temples, most of the temples, we don't see that, because it's not a living God. But God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israelite God, He is a God who is there. He is talking with the people. He is guiding them. He is picking people whom to serve. He is orchestrating everything. His presence is felt. So His cloud, is the presence to show that I am with you. This presence protects. When I see the cloud is protecting them and guiding them. And we see that in Exodus, all the stories. The glory demonstrates divine approval of Solomon's temple. That's also to show that I had given authority to build a temple. So he was accepting the temple. This is my house. I built it. And so he's giving that approval, to the people. Because when people see that the cloud of the Lord presence came there, automatically they know that God's presence is there. So just as God was with Moses, so now God is with new generation of Israelites. Such continuity reaffirms that the Lord's never-changing character, desire to have fellowship with human beings, and ongoing commitment to the chosen people. Here God was never changing. The same promises He gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He's saying, I'm with you all, with the Israelites. Even now, that is why the covenant of God is with all, as the spiritual children of Abraham. We all have the same covenant. We all have that God's promises. When Solomon is praying, in the coming verses, petitions to the people, he's petitioning to us as well on behalf of Israelites and all promised children. So we all can take those petitions also and try to go to the God. Solomon responds in awe at God's decision to descend to the temple. And he was thrilled to see the Lord's presence coming into the temple. Because normally the Lord dwells in a dark cloud where human beings cannot see Him. Such the mystery of God is. Mostly the dark cloud will be there. Because God's glory is very hard for people to see and live. Because the Moses, who is the one who had direct contact with God, but he saw the glimpse of God's glory. So here the God's glory came into the temple. And so Solomon has been faithful in providing a place for worship, and the Lord has been faithful in honoring the king's commitment. God's pledge made in chapter 6, 11, 13 has been kept. He said that, let your son build a temple, and I will be with you. And when his son Solomon built the temple, then the Lord came and he did the commitment. So now we look at Solomon's thanksgiving. Here he is thanking God. He was, because the God came there, God's presence was there, and now he was worshiping God. He was thanking God. This is thanksgiving. This is very important for all of us also. To always start with a prayer. To always do thanksgiving. Because whenever we start a day in a prayer, or when we pray in the morning, the first thing we always have to do is do thanksgiving from what God has blessed us. Many times we give our request first, but that should not be that should be the last one. Our request should be the last one. First thing we have to give thanksgiving, and then we have to praise, and then we have to come to our request. So let's look at chapter 8, 14 to 21. Well, the whole assembly of Israel was standing there. The king turned around and blessed them. Then he said, Praise be to God, the God of Israel, who with his own hand was fulfilled what he promised with his own mouth to my father David. For he said, Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have not chosen a city in any tribe of Israel to have a temple built for my name to be there. But I have chosen David to rule my people Israel. My father David had it in his heart to build a temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. But the Lord said to my father David, Because it was in your heart to build a temple for my name, you did well to have this in your heart. Nevertheless, you are not the one to build the temple, but your son, who is your own flesh and blood. He is the one who will build the temple for my name. The Lord kept the promise he made. I have succeeded David my father and now I sit on the throne of Israel, just as the Lord promised, and I have built the temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. I have provided a place for there for the ark, in which is the covenant of the Lord that He made with our fathers when He brought them out of Egypt. Here Solomon is explaining to his people that the events they are witnessing are part of God's ongoing love for Israel. He was saying this is because God is committed to us, because God has loved us. And these are the things you see. The temple, the completion of the temple marks the end of the striving of the homeland. God gave us the promised land. This is our land. This is the place we have built it. God gave us. And it also stresses the Davidic covenant that the Lord's presence among the chosen people. Because, God made a covenant with David that I will be, my presence will be with you. So he was confirming that. And, all this, when he praises, when he is praising it, he's focused on three significant concepts. He bases the Lord's covenant with David on the earlier deliverance of people deliverance of Israel from Egypt. Because he is praising because God had delivered Israel from Egypt and he made a covenant with David. So, that concrete historical evidence of God's commitment to saving the chosen people paved the way for future saving events. Here, Israel was God's chosen people. The same way, when we as believers, God had preordained, selected people because God choosing people are different. He always had his own people. He calls them into his kingdom. So here, it shows this one is a paving way for future saving events. Included in the subsequent saving acts is God's eternal covenant with David. Second, Solomon reflects on the delay between the Israel entry into Canaan and the building of the temple. So they entered the promised land, but it took many years for the temple to be built because we can see that King Saul was there, after King David was there, and the King Solomon was built. So there was a delay between the time they entered the promised land and the temple. So Moses taught the people that eventually the Lord will choose a central place of worship. But before the Solomon's reign, the nation was too preoccupied with external enemies. So, you see, when they entered the promised land, it's not like they went and grabbed the land. God said, this is the land I'm giving to you. But they had to fight for it. All the Israelites had to go to wars, they had to win the battle. But God is handing over that, but they had to fight. So they were fighting and they were conquering the land. So this time of, all these wars they were doing it and they were conquering the land and stabilizing, growing their space. So during the Solomon time, that is the most peaceful reign they never had, Israel had never had. Because all the time before Solomon is wars. So that is why God made sure the Solomon reign is full of peace. The 40 years Solomon ruled, he didn't do any wars. He has a 40 years of peace. Because during this peace period, God allowed the temple to be built. And so, God's delay, he was talking about, Moses taught the people that God eventually will do this. And because they were involved in the wars, and delay is that God was tied to God's plan. Solomon will get the delay was tied to God's plan to use David's family to achieve this goal. Because David's family had to build it. So, Solomon was telling, that is the God's plan. That's why all these things have to happen, that I had been chosen by God to build it. And so third, the king celebrates the Lord's choice of him and his father to rule Israel and his provision of a central sanctuary for the people. And so he talked about that in the third one is, David has desired to build a temple. So God gave him and his son, me, the privilege to build this temple. So, he gives the people that there is a reason for everything to happen and God has a plan and he did everything that he loved us. And now he gives a dedication prayer. And so, this talks about, 7 petitions that Solomon had put before the Lord. And I mean, we can read this. I want you to read it because it's 22 to 53. There are many verses are there. But I want you to take some time, chapter 8, 22 to 53. Read that prayer because it's a very important prayer. But I'm going to summarize them. But I want you to read a breakdown of it to understand those seven petitions. And so I'll start with one, and then I'll let this week go because we have this 8-minute video of this tabernacle is there. So I want you to see that. So verse 8, 22 to 26, which is the first petition. It talks about, then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in front of the whole assembly of Israel, spread out his hands towards heaven, and said, remember this, he was standing before the altar in front of the assembly of God, spread his hands towards heaven. But when the prayer finishes, he is kneeling down. So this burden of prayer, he surrendered himself, he humbled himself, and end of the prayer we see that he knelt down. So we can see that how he transformed in the prayer. O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven above or on earth below. You who keep your covenant of love with your servants, who continue wholeheartedly in your way. You have kept your promise to your servant David my father. With your mouth you have promised, and with your hand you have fulfilled it as it is today. Now Lord God of Israel, keep for your servant David my father the promises you made to him when you said, you shall never fail to have a man to sit before me on the throne of Israel. If only your sons are careful in all they do to walk before me as you have done. And now, O God of Israel, let your word that you promised your servant David, my father, come true. Here, the first petition is asking God is, Solomon begins process and you have to save Israel in the future. See, God told King David, I will bless your kingdom as long as you obey my laws, you follow me. There's somebody from your line who is sitting on the throne. So Solomon was asking God, Lord, give us the favor that someone, from my line be sitting on the throne. And so he knows some mistakes might happen because he knows what happened in the judges' time, how God dealt with them before. So he was asking, petitioning God, Lord, let somebody be there. And so, Solomon the whole prayer is grounded firmly in text in Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy, where Moses tells Israel that God will richly bless them for obeying the covenant, but will punish severely all rebellion. So Moses told Israelites, God will bless you as long as you obey, but he will punish you if you rebel. This prayer takes significance beyond his derogatory context. He's reminding, that the Lord allows the covenant nation, because when you look at it, when they lost the favor, God let the enemies come in and take over Israel. So this is what before Solomon was asking, Lord, make sure you take care of us, all that. So Solomon begins with a confession. He was saying God is unique in his unchanging faithfulness. And he was saying God keeps his covenant of love with all who continually, wholeheartedly in his ways. See, God loves all of us, but God also is a God of, he wants us to follow his commandments. He wants us to listen to his word. The grace of the God is there. But he wants us to follow his ways. The same thing, he was telling this, this affirmation mirrors the Lord's loving, gracious choice of Israel. And in Deuteronomy 7:9 it reads, know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. So he's keeping his covenant with people as long as we love him and keep his covenant. Thousands of generations he keeps. And so every miracle, saving act, other love flows from divine mercy and grace. If we are saved, into His kingdom, that is by His grace, by His saving grace. So, we look at David's life, it illustrates his grace. God made him king. He's a shepherd boy. He has many brothers, but God chose him to be his king. And Solomon, king in his place, followed the temple to be built. Solomon was also a grace of God because there are many kings of King David, but Solomon was chosen to him. So Solomon was looking at, it's the blessing that God has given, and he wants to make sure that Davidic covenant come to pass. And so he was asking God the eternal kingdom. He doesn't know about the Jesus eternal kingdom all, but he wants to make sure that his line, somebody is ruling Israel all the time, And so, he talks about things, next verses, he talks about God who is in heaven and earth, who is so big, who heaven also cannot contain them, to come and be, in the temple. So, he talks about that, inviting God, to come in their midst. So, we look into that next week. It's a very good decisions we want to know. So, I want to take time to go slowly on this one. And before we go to video, let me close with prayer, and then we'll start the video. Loving Heavenly Father, we love you, Lord. We thank you. We worship you, Lord, as we are meditating your word and the dedication of your temple and the petition that Solomon is going to bring before you, Lord. And God, help us to sink into the word that we are meditating on, that the process and moving the ark to the temple and the presence of among the people of Israel and the petition that Solomon had prayed and how you had responded to that. Lord, help us able to see through that. And Lord, bless us through and learning through this word, Lord. Open our hearts